much to motivate you with per se, but I want to share a little bit with you in the hopes that it's helpful, and also perhaps give you guys an opportunity to ask questions more broadly. Many of you, from what I understand, have come from perhaps you're very young. You've come from backgrounds where there are a lot of people. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. You're very young. You've come from backgrounds where a lot of people have imputed a lot of things into you, both good and bad. And you may be thinking to yourself, my circumstances, and where I was born, or what I am, and how I do what I do, and the background that I'm coming from, is basically my limitation. Of course, it's not, but I want to share with you very carefully sort of one or two. Right now in Nigeria, right, where I live typically and where you all are, there is a very big shift that is happening, but it's not visible to anybody. The country is essentially rebasing. So what does that mean? The economy is essentially being overturned, and a lot of things are being predicated on the basis of pure value, right? It's not visible to the eye, but when you think about what's going on in Nigeria today, food prices are increasing, pork prices are increasing. A lot of what used to be no longer is, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with what's going on around us in the country. Now, typically, a lot of people will look at those circumstances and think to themselves, what hope do I have of building anything valuable in this type of environment? Education is bad, roads are bad, logistics are bad, my family is struggling, food is expensive, etc., etc. And that is the prevailing thoughts that you are probably being exposed to, say on social media or wherever it is that you get your information. But something that I think a lot of people may not fully understand is also happening is that this particular circumstance that we are in is creating an opportunity for people to add value. Anybody that grows in this environment with the mindset that they have an opportunity to add value is going to be somebody that will build very valuable skills in the present, but also long term be somebody that will grow a lot of personal wealth and value over the long term. And I want to give you some particular examples. So today, for example, for a very long time, people will tell you, I'm an investor, right? So I spend a lot of time talking to a lot of people. I did stuff like this. I started actually closer to age. At the time when I was in secondary school, I used to buy and sell a lot of things just so that, because I was from a very middle class family, and I was going to school with very rich people because my father really prioritized education. And so I realized that, they have needs and they have money. So if I can provide them what they are looking for and make some money off them, why not, right? Why not if not? But part of what happened to me in that process was I started to understand value. So, and really how value is in the eye of the beholder. And that basically led to my entrepreneurship over the medium to long term. Then I used to sell teddy bears, I used to sell roses for Valentine's Day, I used to sell biscuits, and all of that when I was in school. And some of it contraband. I wasn't always a good boy. I used to value in a different kind of way. Today, the biggest need that most people have is food. People are trying to find food, but slightly cheaper than what they normally would get it. Yet, food comes from the ground, it's agriculture. It literally comes from the ground, right? There are a lot of, there's even a lot of growing techniques that have nothing to do with the ground. You understand what I'm saying? That, I was looking on YouTube the other day because I'm very fascinated by this thing, and they put tubers of yam inside the bag. How many of us have seen that before? And then they grow it. So that one doesn't even require any land. And people are harvesting tubers of yam by doing those types of things. And these are things that almost anybody can do with very little implement or support. And yes, people are complaining about the price of food. Are they right to complain about the price of food? Sure. But ultimately, I'm not sure complain and say, oh, why is government not doing anything about the price of food? And the question that I'm always asking is, what can government do about the price of food that you can't do without driving up the price of food? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that government has is money, right? Government doesn't have anything else. So if government now goes with their money and goes and buys more food in the markets to distribute, you get what I need to say? What will happen? The price of food will go up. You understand what I'm saying? That means that food will become even more expensive because government is now competing with everybody else to do food. As opposed to, imagine a world where young people are growing their own food, right? Because it's cheaper, and it's because it's basically the cost of your time, and you are growing enough that you can sell it at an even cheaper rate, right? What happens to the cost of food? The cost of food will come down. Now, if we want to do this at scale, there are obviously things that government can do for you. Of course, they can provide land, they can provide implements, they can do this, they can do that. But you find that across board, in Nigeria, the biggest challenge that we have is that everybody is looking for a savior, right? And that is the environment that we're growing up in. That's how we've been conditioned, that there's always going to be somebody who's responsible for the situation that you're in, and ultimately for bringing you out of the situation that you're in. And the name of that person is government. And so you should design or build your life around what it is government or other people can do for you, as opposed to what it is possible for you to do by yourself with the help of God. You understand? And that is, for me, that mindset has now travailed for a lot of young people. And I was talking to a few of my mentors the other day. And, for me, even after I got all my education, I had a big privilege of going to study. But when I came back to Nigeria, one of the things that I'm grateful to God for was that I didn't fully understand the concept of privilege, of assumed privilege. Because with my foreign degree, right, there were a lot of my peers who believed they should be able to walk into any bank and get a salary of XYZ, right? But for me, by the grace of God, I was able to leverage. I discarded that certificate. I remember when I graduated, I literally took that certificate and I gave it to my parents at graduation day. And I said, this one is for you. And when I moved back to Nigeria the next year, I started literally from zero, right? I had help from uncles or whatever initially, but after a while, when they told me to go and get a job, like my peers, and I refused, I had to figure out a way to make it work. You understand? And I stayed the course, and it is over those 10 years, and I've only been working in Nigeria for 10 years, I was now able to make things work. Now you have the benefit of this opportunity. you have the benefit of this opportunity in boyhood. What I want you to be thinking about is, how are you going to leverage this opportunity to create value for your community? Because no one is too small to create value. And at the same time, you can't, there's no, when it comes to creating value, everybody starts at the same point, which is another person's need. And I know that this is, you're probably here thinking, okay, people are here to help me. But I want you to think to yourself, because that is the beginning of your transformation from a boy to a man, right? Is the more, if you look at what a man truly is, a man is a person that people can rely on. Is a person that other men can rely on. When you ask, who is a man? A man is somebody that other men can rely on. It's a person that, as you grow and you get married, your wife needs to be able to rely on you. Your children needs to be able to rely on you. How do you adopt that mentality? It's not going to happen automatically just because you are able to impregnate a woman. It's from what you start to do now, your ability to take responsibility even from your community. Your ability to take responsibility for designing what happens in your sphere, right? Your ability to take responsibility for charting your own path and purpose in accordance to what the will of God is for your life. That is the most important thing. And for me, if there's anything that you take away from what I've said this morning, it's morning on my side. I'm sure your side is probably late afternoon. I want you to understand that being a man means taking responsibility. I want you to understand that being a man means not being able to look up to anybody for help except God, right? It means being able to look at your circumstances, right? And yes, you can ask for help from your mentors, from your friends, ask for advice, but you have to take full responsibility for what it is that you become and what is it that you make possible. And it starts with a mindset of being able to serve others, right? It starts with a mindset of being able to take responsibility for outcomes, for outcomes that that you can create, and it can be very small. It doesn't have to be something that is gigantic. A lot of what my dear friend mentioned that I've done, I didn't start it in one day. You understand what I'm saying? I built that value by learning to serve from age 16. Even before that, I learned to see people. I learned to be the one who will sell to people. I learned to be the one who will carry chairs. I learned to be the one who will do whatever job it is that I have to do. And the earlier that you start on that path, the faster you can develop. Because you see, like a lot of the people that maybe you see on social media, or a lot of the people that you see popularizing themselves and all of that, unfortunately, you don't have name to sell. Davido has his father's name. You understand? Nobody cares about what he has done. They do good things for him because they want to seek favor with his father. But for people like me and you, we are carrying our family name as well. But the only way that we are going to get to that level of significance is if we learn how to serve. There's a lot of others that, unfortunately, in our generation, money is unfortunately the currency, right? Rather than service. There are so many people who, I try to engage. I like to say I don't mentor, I engage, and the first thing that they are looking at is, okay, what is in it for me? And how can I not be taken advantage of? One of the things I want to tell you is that you'll be taken advantage of a lot. And it's for your own good. But you have to build that culture, that mindset, that heart of service for others, so that you can build the skills that you need and get to the point where it is now possible for you to start your own path, where you can actually now take responsibility for outcomes because you have learned how to do so. So this is something that is extremely important for you to invite even where you are today. But the beautiful thing about all of this is that you're not alone in this journey, right? beyond what your mentors that are in this program can do for you, beyond what Sister Precious can do for you, beyond what the society is able to do for you. If you have a friend in Jesus who can also do a lot for you, right? I'll tell you that even for me, especially because I chose a different path from a lot of people that were my peers, quote unquote, there are many times where, as a man, there is nowhere else to look for help but above. Just look to Jesus for help. And he has never failed me, no matter how dire the situation has been. And I want to tell you that Jesus is a man's man, he's a man's friend. Ultimately, in this very hard world where you can't really trust anybody, and you're not sure if people have your true interest at heart, no matter what it is, you can always trust Jesus. And he's somebody that I think as a man, particularly in a place like Nigeria, you need him. You need him. A lot of what, some people will call it luck, but there's so much that I've been able to accomplish just because I have Jesus. And without compromise. Because there are a lot of people that will tell you, well, you need something, and they're right. You need somebody or something. You need to know somebody or something for you to progress. But a lot of the things that people hook themselves into, they come at an incredible cost, right? They come at the cost of your life. They come at the cost of your values. They come at the cost of your integrity. But one thing is that Jesus does not demand those things of you. In fact, he demands that you hold the highest principles and the highest integrity. So I want to tell you that the only person that you can trust, the only person that you can consider, this person, no matter what it is, I'm going through, I need to put my trust in this person. I'm telling you, is Jesus. And that has helped me quite a bit. And finally, because I'm more about a question and answer person, I'm not really a big speech kind of person. I know that you guys will probably have more questions than other things, but I really want you to consider that you are at an interesting moment in history, right? Technology, which is part of what you're going to learn in this program, has opened up the opportunities when it comes to productivity. And finally, Nigeria is pricing in productivity. I don't want to explain the whole economics to you, but right now, I know everybody is shouting dollar is high, but you know that also means that our naira being cheap means that a lot of things is possible for you to export, even with just your computer, right? If you are the enterprising kind and you can learn a skill, you sign up to platforms like Upwork, you look for online jobs and things like freelance jobs, and you do it with diligence. It's not just about going there to scam them, right? You can make a lot of money. $100 is now about 140,000 naira, right? So you can make a lot of money if you are very enterprising. But even beyond tech or code, right? Even your ability to innovate solutions to needs around you. I know a lot of my friends that are doing solar. They have learned how to install solar, and they are making a lot of money doing solar, right? They are making a good living doing solar. I know a lot of in fact, some of the people that I trained to build software, now they are doing that, they are making more money, right? Beyond even that, right? Trade, if that's what your hands can do, you understand? Now, if you trade on the border, different items, the CFA and the CDs are higher in value than the Naira. You understand? It's possible for people in other countries to actually afford the things that are produced here. You can look for one or two of those types of items and look for how you can legally export them, right? Raw materials, farming, a lot of people are paying so much for food. So I want you to think to yourself, there are so many opportunities outside of government because of the nature of the economy right now. So many needs that people have. As a boy who wants to turn to a man, your your thought process cannot be, oh, I'm waiting for somebody. You don't have that time. The most valuable resource that you have is your time. Like now, this 30 minutes I've been talking, no matter how hard I pray, no matter how rich I am, you can never get it back. That's it. Every day comes with a fresh 24 hours. But you can never add balance of the previous day to the next day. You can never add, you cannot subtract, you cannot say that will give me hours today. Tomorrow, I can just use only 12 hours. It will never work. You cannot borrow or sell it. Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your time waiting for somebody to help you. Look up to Jesus, make progress on your own. Take responsibility for your life and your times. Look for ways to create value around you. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Don't let anybody waste your time and waste your life. And I trust that God will help you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
So I'll stop here and I'll take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Just raise your hand. Very quickly.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Nosiru Akindele. To what you have said and how you were being introduced, I see that you are an investor. You have invested in people and people have also invested in you. And then you said you should create value in to get a return, to get investment. But if you look at the Nigerian ecosystem, we have in the tech ecosystem, we have a lot of people that they think they are giving value, but most of the value they are giving are not needed in Nigeria. That's however you see a lot of startups that later collapse. So like, what advice can you give us? All of us are young, we might later want to start up a company in the future, a tech company. So how can we get funds? And then how can we come up with a valuable startup idea that can be sustainable, that can last long, like Flutter and go like that? That's my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So what's your name? I didn't get the name.
My name is Nosiru Akindele Sewedo, sir.
Please just say your name because it's very important. Names are very important.
Okay, yes, sir.
So Nosiru, don't worry, you can sit down now.
Okay,
I want to address your question. You know, one of the this is why I'm talking about value, right? If you're in business, the only value that matters is the value you get from your customer. I come across so many businesses that come to me, and the first thing that they're looking for is funding. They don't have any customer. They've not clearly defined the problem that they are trying to solve, so they don't have any customer. But they believe that with funding, they can find all those things. And it never ends up being the case. Now, for us in our firm, businesses that I have built, believe it or not, we didn't get funding before we got customers. In fact, in all our businesses, we were profitable, not any big funding. I started with my own money. In Andela, I put my $50,000. I saved my money, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Put that money aside. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And then my co-founders also put their own money inside as well. You understand? Now, I know the question you now ask is, where will I find $50,000? This is the part where you have to open your ear. Sometimes you need to learn, anytime actually, you need to learn how to create value before you can. And failure, you can learn a lot from failure, but I can assure you, my brother, you learn so much more from success. You learn so much more from success. One of the things that I learned, right, up to that point, I was very young, like you, very impatient, wanted to do startup, didn't really understand what made a startup successful beyond what I was reading in the press and all of that. Because you see, successful people don't have time to be telling you how they became successful. If you see anybody that's telling you, this is how I became successful, pay me $10 to learn, you know that the person is taking you for a ride. Because successful people, they are so successful, they don't have time. You understand? It's only if somebody makes a demand on them and they feel led that they are able to share. And so many of the approaches that successful people use to become successful, you can only learn it through apprenticeship or discipleship. Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So for me, when I was building Antella, I quickly realized that, come on, I don't really understand how to be successful. So I swallowed my pride. I own 70% of my company. I found a partner that had taken a company public. That means he had so many customers, he built hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, took it public in the US, went IPO in the US. So he sold his shares on the stock market. And I decided that I was going to merge my company with his so that I'll be 10% of his company. Right?
Yes, sir.
And that was how I became a co-founder at Antella. And that 10% is more valuable than everything that I did before then. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I was very lucky because a lot of people would have said I wasn't making any money. In fact, I had to bring the small change that I had from my last startup. I had to bring it into this startup. A lot of people have to humble themselves before starting startups and learn how to create value from customers, right? Learn how to create value from customers so that they don't fail. Because many of them don't really understand how a high-functioning organization needs to work. They have not learned their own strengths and weaknesses in a high-stress environment. They have always been Oga, and nobody tells Oga where Oga is not doing well. Right? So, work in an environment where you can learn, build your savings, then you can start a startup. Work in an environment where you can learn, build your experience, serve well, right? Those are the people that are going to give you the seed for you to be able to build. I've invested, a lot of people that I invest in are people that I've worked with before, right? So people say it's arranging, but the truth of the matter is that it's because I know they are working. There are some people that have worked with me that I didn't invest in, or maybe I didn't let my people go with them. You understand what I'm saying? Just so that they will not be ashamed. But many of the people that I deeply invest in are people that I've worked with before. So that's just a lesson for you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ola Adeola, sir. And I just want to ask you a question, sir. And you said we should be valuable. We should be valuable, and we should look for places where we can serve. And then you made mention of how you know that people do freelancing works on Upwork and on Fiverr and other platforms, sir. But what I've come to notice that no matter how valuable you are, some of these platforms require that you have experience. They require that maybe you have like 4 to 5 years experience before they can actually give you some positions in their establishment, sir. So how can we, like you mentioned that we should get experience, how can we build experience in our field to actually position ourselves for possible works in tech in the future, sir? And that's just it, sir. And please, I want to ask, do you have any role of internship in your establishment whereby I can always apply and get experience from your work, sir?
Fantastic. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, sir.
I can. Okay. Sorry, can you remind me what the name is again? Can you remind me what the name is again?
My name is Ola Adeola, sir.
Okay, Ola Adeola.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Ola.
Yes, sir.
So I'll tell you this, right? The reality of experience is that, and this is a mistake a lot of people make, you cannot get experience from just anywhere, right?
Yes, sir.
Because your life is not just any kind of life.
Yes, sir.
You have to look for an area that you're deeply interested in. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And then you have built yourself up to the level where you can contribute something.
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Then you can go for then you can seek an internship.
Yes, sir.
You get what I'm trying to say? So, for example, in my own organization, right?
Yes, sir.
What do we do? What do we do? Like, I'm going to give you a practical interview so you all understand how to think about value.
Yes, sir.
What do we do at Future Africa?
I know about Flutter Waves. That Flutter Waves is a platform that helps make international payments. Hello, sir.